run him into some shots, but he got to keep firing. And there, العزاوي unleashing the overhand right.
Well, you know, now by the way.
مرحبا بكم متابعي صفحة بالعربي في مقطع جديد، والذي سنقدم من خلاله أسطورة من أساطير الملاكمة الجزائرية. تحدث عن البطل الكبير محمد العزاوي الذي وصل للعالمية وحقق ألقاب كثيرة سواء قارية أو عالمية. في هذا النزال سيواجه هنري سانز من نيكاراغوا. نزال رائع جدا أثبت فيه البطل الجزائري أنه من طينة الكبار. قبل متابعة المقطع قوموا بضع لايك إذا أردتم المزيد من المقاطع في الفترة المقبلة، وإن أردتم تعريف هذا البطل واستحق شباب شاركوا المقطع. للإشارة البطل الجزائري بالشورت الأزرق والخصم بالأسود. فلنشاهد معا.
محمد العزاوي, it's important to say right now, devout Muslim, and Ramadan just finished. He trained without food and water through the entire 30-day time of Ramadan. So he just today broke that daytime fast. I can't believe it could be a great thing for him physically.
Yeah, could obviously eat and drink in the evening, but was training and not being able to eat during the daylight hours. And we'll see how that fares, how he fares if this fight goes longer.
Yeah, really trying to stick that jab right now. And we see Saiz in the black trunks from Costa Rica, originally from Nicaragua. No disgrace on his record. He's 9-4-1, but man, he's lost to some dudes, hasn't he?
Yeah, Fabrice Tiozzo, former champion, Thomas Ulrich, the fine German fighter among them. And so he's lost a couple of good fighters, and he's trying to find his way after kind of a late start in boxing.
Yeah, he run 4 straight. He got beaten 4 straight by those quality names among them that Al mentioned, but then has won 3 straight since, all against soft opposition back in Costa Rica. But he's stepping up big time against Muhammad Alzawi, the former Algerian national champion, 2000 Olympian, who after the Olympics stayed in Sydney and moved to New Zealand, worked at a timber mill, and has really built a career in New Zealand and Australia. But now he's in Russia trying to move up. He's ranked by a couple of organizations in the top 10 according to the BA, so this could be, well, he's got to look good, let's face it. He's got to look real good tonight, and because it's an action-packed, talent-laden division, isn't it, Al?
It really is, and a couple of good left hands landed by Science a moment ago, and got a kind of a smile from the face of Azawi. Well, you know, this is an internationally flavored fight when we have an Algerian, as you pointed out, who's living in New Zealand, taking on a Nicaraguan, now living in Costa Rica. And where do they fight? Moscow.
Makes sense to me. We came a long way as well. And interesting thing with Science, as you mentioned, he landed effectively. But he's got that big right hand. That's his best shot. So he's got to get inside and stay inside. But Azawi, a boxer who likes to really create distance, control range, and he's been able to do it, fighting very economically so far. There we see Sainz trying to get in behind that jab, but unable to unleash that right hand. So single shot power, he's really not stuffing that jab, so he's not discouraging Azawi. Azawi coming forward, in fact, this time. End of a cautious first round coming here in Moscow. From Costa Rica, very slow, cautious first round. Now Science trying to get in behind the jab, but not a lot on it. Again, probing to the body. And Azawi's going to pick it up a little bit. Just watching him prior to this, again, is a guy who wants to box. Azawi wants to stay at a distance here, control range throughout, maybe pace this fight. He's again been able to do it because Saiz can't close and be aggressive. He's trying the jab, and then the right hand isn't coming. Now he gets shoved back by Azawi.
And when you have 7 knockouts and 21 wins, as Azawi does, it's clear you're not a big knockout artist. So he's a boxer puncher with an emphasis, as you pointed out, on the boxing. You know, Science, toward the end of that last round, did land a couple of pretty good overhand rights. And as you said, that's the weapon he would like to get in.
We see Azawi now inside, covering up, taking shots, not countering inside. Now he's coming forward, but he really wants to get extension on that shot. It's not a bad idea with a guy with a reach advantage. And being a boxer, as you mentioned, Al, Azawi on the right, they're back to us right now, and Science comes walking in, and that's hoping to turn and run him into some shots, but he got to keep firing, and there, Azawi unleashing the overhand right, not landing, but throwing with some fury for the first time in this fight.
Azawi not even close with those right hands he was throwing though. So
it's awkward, doesn't
yeah, his accuracy right now is struggling.
Again, he has been stopped, as we mentioned, KO'd in 5 by Fabrice Tiazo, TKO'd in 1 by Alexander Alexiv.
You know, for Azawi, sometimes there are little warning signs, like in his last 5 opponents, here's the records of some of them: 7-3, 0-2, and 4-4. When you get to this point in your career, you should really have records like that on your resume as recent as that.
So with you, Al, and again, a guy in an organization ranked in the top 10, and you're going nowhere in terms of quality of opposition and stepping up your game. It's hard to believe that can be.
And here's why it's really an anomaly. In this division, the cruiserweight division, that doesn't happen very often. Almost everybody fights everybody else. And he'll have to if he's going to get to the top of this division, Azawi.
He obviously wants to make an impression here on a pay-per-view telecast around the world. He's fighting a very patient fight, Henry Science, not doing much offensively to win this round either as we close out 2. Has got the dial in. He could make this an easy fight, in my opinion, with an effective jab. He could run Science into some punches or keep him at the end of the jab, but I don't think he's firing enough myself.
He was a little timid with some of those punches, as you point out, especially the jab, and that's a punch Azawi has to make work for himself to be effective in this round. Per your instructions, Nick Charles, he's come out firing that jab.
I just talk about him.
He must have heard you.
He wants to control range here, and Science not walking into anything stupid, but not putting his offense in gear where he's in a position to do any damage. Shorter guy, and you see that Azawi on the right continues to create that space.
Azawi ranked 8th by the WBC and or by WBA, excuse me, and he's in a division that's crowded with great champions and great talent. Well, when could you say that about the cruiserweight division? John Mark Mormack was the WBA title, of course, that he would be seeking. As also WBC, Steve Cunningham, a terrific fighter, Enzo Maccarinelli, and lots of other fighters down the line in the cruiserweight division. It has as much depth as any in boxing.
It does. We've talked about it through the years, Al. It's strange how it's always been the poor sister to the heavyweights, because again, when a guy can really punch, and I'm not saying either of these guys can, but some of the mentioned names in the top 10 sure can, and also be mobile and throw volume shots and not a lot of clinches. I think they're really exciting at 200 pounds.
Yeah, they almost always are. Now, there was a very good double jab by Azawi, and he was able to come with the right hand after it.
Right. Azawi seems to have better hand speed, but he's not letting his hands go yet. Very cautious, tactical fight here in Moscow. Cyan's got his left hand low a little bit, but single shots now as Azawi continues to blast away, stick and move with the left hand strictly with the jab.
This is not a really big ring. Science coming forward and going after Azawi. It's a little over 18 feet, it looks like. Not a giant ring, so for Azawi, when he's trying to move, it doesn't allow him that much mobility.
Right, it does make a difference, I think. So a puncher's ring if Saiz shows he can punch. In his 13 fights, he's got 8 KOs. And again, those came all in Costa Rica. He's definitely stepping up here tonight and holding his own, and so far an uneventful 3 rounds. Saiz from Costa Rica in black, white stripe, and in the blue, coming forward now, but still controlling distance. He's not getting too close. Picking off the jab from Saiz and sticking one of his own in. But really, we haven't seen Azawi get the combinations running. So, not able to streamline those shots. I don't know, is Saiz's defense that tricky to you, Al, or what do you see?
I think Henry Science has a good, keeps his hands pretty high, and I think often he's a little difficult to hit, but still the volume of punches would take care of that.
There's the double jab from Azawi again. Science runs into a left there, but nothing coming behind it. Now Science strikes that hook, but when he gets close now, he'll back off electively. I would think he would have to get close and stay close.
You're absolutely right. He's not cutting the distance between himself and Azawi. Until he does that, he's going to have a problem in this fight.
You know, maybe he's just not much of a puncher. I mean, his big right hand can be his best shot, but it doesn't mean it's going to put anybody to sleep.
Well, he needs to get on the inside and work, as he did a moment or so ago. See, right there, he gets inside and then throwing limited number of punches.
Right, and it doesn't seem so far that Azawi is effective at all in shortening up his shots inside. There's a good overhand right as he took that little half step back.
That's the best right hand I think Azawi can throw. And there's yet another chopping right hand. So he's starting to get that punch in and the jab, making it effective.
Science doing a decent job of not overextending, at least, not running into too many shots, not leaning over, and now taunting Azawi. Science sticks the jab, retreats. Once again. Oh, nice counter left from Azawi.
You know, Azawi has good hand speed. He really does. There are some components missing to make him a top cruiserweight right now. He bends in a little bit, negates his height and reach, and makes himself a little bit more of a target than he needs to be there. He did it right there. He also leans in a little bit with his punches, and his attack really is kind of one-dimensional, jab, straight right hand. But having said all that, he's got, you know, good athleticism, and that jab and right are good punches.
He's moving well now, starting to string some shots together. Nothing serious, but certainly enough, it looks like, to win round 4 here in Moscow. You know, Al, I also saw for the first time a very effective counter from Azawi. I think he should do that a little bit more.
Yeah, as Science is coming in, you're absolutely right. If he can, the counter right hand has been effective a couple of times.
And he stung Science before the bell with that overhand right again. Science coming very squared up, not really getting any leverage on those shots. There's the jab. Now it's tripled up by Azawi.
The other thing, and it's kind of interesting, you know sometimes how weight divisions take on a certain character of their own. The cruiserweight division is made up of, at the top, of a lot of fighters who are big enough to punch hard, but small enough to punch in volume. And they are active. They always are in active fights. Azawi bucks that trend. He's one of the very few pure boxer types in the cruiserweight division, and obviously he makes for fights that are slightly more tactical, like this one, if your opponent, in this case Science, doesn't have the ability to really pressure you.
Excellent point. You know, speaking of Azawi's preparation, or where he is and who he fought, I'll give him one thing. When he came over to adjust the time change here, he went over to the UK and he got some good sparring with David Hay, who's a top-notch cruiserweight. So that had to help, even though his experience in terms of quality of opposition hadn't been there. That's some quality sparring.
Absolutely, it was a great idea on their part to get him a little of that kind of experience.
Nice. You know, I don't see anything exceptional in Henry Science, but when he really throws his jab with conviction, he's good. Now he got countered with a left. He does nothing extremely well, but nothing terribly bad.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's just a pretty solid fighter who wants to take that step up and get better.
His nose, the bridge of his nose swelling now. Nice right followed by the left hook from Science. Not a lot on it.
Henry Sayans really needs someone who will really stand in front of him and engage, probably for him to be at his optimum. And that is not going to happen against Muhammad Azawi.
Muhammad Azawi trying to turn a little bit. Sayans not able to cut the corner himself inside, maybe counter. He's got to restart. He's got to be a little bit busier, maybe steal a round or two. And now he drives Azawi back. Azawi gets dialed in again and revs it up with that jab. Look at the bridge of the nose of Henry Sayans. He's definitely swelling. So that jab's found a home. That overhand right as well. And that really hurt Sayans. He's in trouble. He's trying to hold on. Let's see if Azawi pushes him off. He does. And see if he can close it here. 10 seconds to go in round 5. Left hook before. Let's see what Azawi does. He had Sayans hurt. I'm not saying Sayans isn't dangerous, but Al, should he press the pedal down a little further now?
Well, here's where Muhammad Azawi now and his people say, all right, how much is it important to us at age 31 in this world of cruiserweights to market ourselves? And do we need to go after Henry Sayans and say, look, we can go knock him out and show that we deserve a place at the table?
Great point, because he did hurt Sayans, and he hit him with a left hook there, sinking one into the jaw. Not a lot of body shots in this, and a nice right uppercut. So that's Sayans running into shots now. Sayans not punching at all, looking for openings. He tried the lead right to follow up with the left, but he's walking in squared up. And Azawi can pot shot him from outside or drive him back at times, but no doubt he likes to create that distance to get extension on his shots, does Azawi. Azawi backing up a little half step back. He wants space. Jab right hand followed by a hybrid hook.
And you won't see many hooks from Azawi, that's for sure.
No body shots either. Sayans got hit with a right. Another convincing round. There's a right hand from Sayans as he caught Azawi on the way in. Azawi more off balance than hurt there.
And that came because Azawi, sometimes when he throws these punches, will drop his hands. See, look, he did it right there.
You're right.
And then he will get nailed with a counter punch.
They just telling him, work off that jab. They got it all night against Sayans. Sayans with a wild right that misses. They exchange jabs, not terribly effective. And right hands. Action slowing considerably here.
And Henry Sayans was able to gather himself enough, although now again toward the end of the round he's getting rocked with big punches.
Getting pushed back, but Azawi playing it carefully. There's the right hand. So that step back, that extension, hope that Sayans will run in and use Sayans' momentum against him a little while.
The countering right's been very effective now for Azawi.
Come on in again. He's down.
But you can't criticize Azawi by playing it not cautiously but safe, getting a lot done from outside, not exposing himself. Low blow there. The referee seemed to catch that. Sayans with a low blow. But you talked about the dynamism that you'd like to see in Azawi, Allen. I agree with you. And this may not be his style to go for it.
And you know, of course, his big punching will come from the outside no matter what, but it's just a question of how aggressive does he want to be at any given moment. Now, you know, Science has fought twice in Germany and once in France, other than fighting in Costa Rica, and none of those 3 times have worked out well for him, as tonight is not, as he travels far from his home.
Well, you see, what do you see that Azawi should worry about at this point?
Well, you know, now, by the way, we see a cut over the right eye of Science as well, or around it, so that's another issue.
Oh, nice left hand from Azawi. He begins to explode with the combinations. Stiff jab, and that's what you wanted to see earlier. At least I did. But now back to Science. Anything dangerous?
Yeah, for Science, I think, again, he's still trying to land that overhand right, but he is singular punching, and he's not getting on the inside. He really needed to rough up Azawi. A fighter like Azawi, you want to take him out of his comfort zone, out of his rhythm. He's very much a rhythm fighter, and Azawi's not doing that.
Yeah, not pressing him enough. In fact, backing up right now. This is not his range to land shots from. Azawi just pot-shotting.
The hand's very low of Azawi.
Yeah, he can't be hit from way out there. But, you know, he's not going to excite you from way out there either.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali. No. Part of the name.
But not quite all the dazzling hand and foot speed. And, you know, against Henry Science, he's able to get away with those hands being so low. Now, Science is starting to use his jab a little bit more effectively.
Oh, right hand follows. So good comeback there from Azawi. If the left missed, it blinded Science to that right hand, and the right hand's landing regularly now.
You know, I said earlier you won't see many left hooks from Azawi, but I will correct myself. In the last several rounds, even though it's not his stock in trade, he's shown some terrific left hooks, and that could be part of the missing component for him. So,
point, Al, yeah, start stringing those shots together. Everything's landing now.
Yep.
He's hit him with right hands, the jab, he's picking them off there, just pot-shotting now. This is like a sparring session now down the stretch.
He can't miss with that jab now, Azawi.
Pushing Science back where he's just not in position to do anything.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Instead of Science working to get inside, all the Science is doing is throwing an overhand right occasionally. He should be getting low, working his way in the inside, and then moving his hands when he gets there. That's the style that will be a problem for Muhammad Azawi.
Yeah, he seemed to want to bite on that a little bit of advice, but now just poking with probing with the left and stepping back.
You know, as we head into the later rounds of this fight, and we've touched on it, you look at Muhammad Azawi, who's ranked 8th by the WBA, and you start to wonder where does he fit in the bigger picture of the cruiserweight division based upon what we're seeing tonight and where he could go. And clearly, he's a fighter that has ability, but one thing, as I said, the cruiserweights mostly all have in common at the top of the list is they're all very active and very aggressive. How will Muhammad Azawi deal with fighters that are able to be more aggressive than Henry Science? That's what we have to find out.
That's the next hurdle. When something's coming back at you and you got a threatening guy in front of you. Science, though, definitely being schooled here again. Every time he stepped up, he's failed against quality.
That's exactly right. He's been able to beat the C-level opponents, but when he gets to B or B+, it doesn't work for him.
Yeah, better guys winning tonight, and that's Muhammad Azawi in blue. He is again controlling distance. They're just sharpshooting with the jab. Science reluctant to make a charge. He'll lunge at times. But here, just getting driven back with the jab and forces him to restart. Now the right hand behind it, and Science ties up, so he's getting a little weary. You see blood around the right eye of Science. Science got to go for it here. He's got 4 minutes left in this fight.
Yeah, very, very tough round for Henry Science.
He looks discouraged now. He just doesn't have an answer offensively.
You know, we talk about Azawi, but in some of his attacks is a little one-dimensional, but many fighters have gone a long way on mostly just the left jab and an occasional right hand. Many.
Good point. Well, Science going for it at least. He doesn't want to be inside.
He doesn't want to pay the price to get there by getting hit with those right hands.
He's puffed under both eyes. Taking some shots here, a lot of volume.
متابعي صفحة بالعربي نشكركم على مشاهدة المقطع. لمتابعة المزيد قم بالدخول إلى الصفحة هناك سوف تجد العديد من المقاطع التي أتمنى أن تنال إعجابكم. أردتم تعريف هذا البطل اشتركوا المقطع. إلى اللقاء.